Hey everybody, welcome back to my coverage of the PogChamps 3 tournament. The first match of today is Rubius versus Pokimane, and Rubius is the rating favorite, but Pokimane, Pokimane and Rubius both are very new to chess, so anything can happen. Also, one thing to note about this match is that this is Rubius's third round match, but this is actually only the second time we're seeing Pokimane play because her initial second round game or second round match was delayed due to XQC being affected by the power outage in Texas. So this is the only the second time we've seen Pokimane play. So we're still kind of getting used to how she plays, what openings she likes, and what type of moves she'll miss or see or anything. So let's just get right into the game. Pokimane has the white pieces for the first game, and she starts with d4. We have d5 from Rubius and bishop f4. Pokimane going for a London system. We have knight c6 and e3, bishop f5, and knight f3. Very good moves from both players so far. And here Rubius plays queen d7, which is not really the best move. His idea here is he just wants to develop the queen and prepare to castle queenside. But you are allowing white to play bishop b5, pin this knight, which then threatens knight e5, and this would be a fork on the knight and the queen. You may have to capture with the pawn, which is not something you'd want to do if you're planning on castling queenside, and this would just not be pleasant for black at all. So here a better move would have just been to develop the knight or play e6 to prepare to develop the bishop. But we have queen d7, and Pokimane does go for this bishop b5 move. We have a6 from Rubius, but this does not actually stop Pokimane from playing this knight e5 move. So will she play it? Yes, she does. She plays knight e5. Very good play from Pokimane so far, and you don't have time to take the bishop because your queen is attacked. So here on this previous move, it actually would have been better for Rubius to play this f6 move, just stopping the knight from coming to this square. And I know we've talked about how you shouldn't move your f-pawn in the opening in a lot of cases on this channel, but here it's actually okay because you're planning on castling queenside very, very soon anyway, so it's okay that this diagonal and also this diagonal are going to be a little weaker. Also, this diagonal is blocked by the d-pawn anyway, so here it's okay to play f6. But we have a6 from Rubius instead, and we have knight e5 from Pokimane, playing this knight e5 move, and now what is Rubius going to do? He plays queen d6. Queen c6 probably would have been a little better because you're just not lining yourself up with this bishop on f4. Now you're opening yourself up to discoveries with this knight. So after a move like knight takes c6, now the queen is attacked, and also you can't recapture this because the knight is defended by the bishop. We do have this knight takes c6 move from Pokimane, and we have queen e6 from Rubius. And now as Pokimane, it's actually kind of hard to see how to hold on to this piece because your bishop's attacked and your knight's attacked. So if you move your knight, you're going to lose your bishop. If you move your bishop, you're going to lose your knight. Here the best move is actually just to play bishop a4, and after b takes c6, you go for c4 here as white, and you just try to get some counterplay and take advantage that black's king is in the center. He's not going to be able to castle queenside, and it will take a while for black to castle kingside. So you just have to take advantage of this positional weakness from black like this as white. However, Pokimane does not find this. She instead just settles for bishop e2. She can't find a way to get any counterplay, which is totally fine too. That is sort of a kind of an advanced positional tactic there. So we have bishop e2 from Pokimane, and now Rubius regains this piece with queen takes c6. Rubius is back in the game. We have c3 from Pokimane. c4 would have been definitely much stronger here, just striking in the center, trying to control the center a little more. c3 definitely much more passive than c4, but c3 is playable as well. We have castles queenside from Rubius now, and knight d2. Pokimane completes development. We have e6 and now knight f3. Queen b3 and also castles kingside are also playable moves here for white, just developing the king or getting queen or getting castled. However, knight f3 is also very playable. We have bishop d6 from Rubius and now knight e5 from Pokimane. And here, this is a fork on the queen and also this f7 square. So really, you have two moves here as black. You can either trade this knight or bring your queen back to e8, which saves the queen and defends f7. So Rubius decides to take I would have preferred queen e8 because then you're holding onto your bishop pair. You're not giving up this bishop for a knight for no reason. And here, once white can capture back with this d pawn and gain a huge center, or just capture back with the bishop and maintain their center. Either recapture is fine for white. However, Rubius does play this bishop takes e5 move, and we have bishop takes e5 from Pokimane, now hitting this g7 pawn. Rubius defends with f6, and we have bishop f4. Bishop g6 would have been better because now with this bishop f4 move, black can play g5 and just gain some space and another tempo on the bishop, and the bishop has to go back to g3 anyway. So will Rubius play this g5 move? Yes, he does. He goes ahead and plays g5. Very good on him. Very good chess overall from both players so far. They're not missing a lot of tactics, and they're just playing very well overall, especially for their ratings. We have bishop g3 from Pokimane, and now h5 from Rubius, threatening h4, which would trap the bishop. So Pokimane defends this threat with h4 herself, and now Pokimane has ideas of taking this pawn, and if black recaptures, then white can take this pawn on h5. Rubius defends this with bishop g6. However, this doesn't actually defend it. Pokimane can still take this, and after black recaptures, white still has 1, 2, 3, the queen, bishop, and rook attackers on this square, and black only has 1, 2 defenders of this pawn. So white can still win a pawn here. Will Pokimane go for this though? No, she does not. She plays b4 instead, and here I think Pokimane, what she was thinking was, okay, Rubius, he castled queenside. He's attacking me with his pawns on the king side. So I'm planning on castling king side. I better attack Rubius with my pawns on the queen side. So she was just trying to get a pawn storm going. However, this b4 move is a mistake because it hangs the c3 pawn. So will Rubius take the c3 pawn or go for something else? Yes, he does. He takes the c3 pawn. Queen takes c3 check, and here Pokimane only has 2 legal moves. She can block with the queen, but this hangs the rook. So here is Pokimane, you have to play king f1. However, Pokimane, maybe she was afraid of not castling or something because she blocks it with the queen. She plays queen d2, and now this gives Rubius the opportunity to take this rook with queen takes a1 check, which he does, and Pokimane now has to block again. So here bishop d1 would have been better. You defend your a pawn, and also you avoid the queen trade, at least for the time being. But Pokimane plays queen d1 instead, and now Rubius should definitely trade queens here. You can take this free a pawn, but you know, at this level, when you're up a rook, you just want to go for as many trades as possible to prevent your opponent from getting any sort of counterplay. So I mean, both moves are playable, queen takes a2 or queen takes d1, but I think queen takes d1, just going for the queen trade, is definitely the much cleaner way of converting this position. But we have queen takes a2 from Rubius, which is, like I said, totally fine too, just probably not the cleanest way of converting this position, because white could get some counterplay with their queen later on in the game. We have castles from Pokimane, and now bishop c2 from Rubius. This isn't the best move because it allows now queen d2 from Pokimane, and now there is some rook c1 ideas pinning this bishop to this now half-open c-file. So now you have to resolve this pin right away with a move like bishop to b3. Otherwise, you could get into some trouble. However, Rubius does not go for this. Instead, he plays rook e8. Not exactly sure what Rubius was thinking here. I think he maybe wanted to support this e5 push. But really, if you don't see first that you need to get out of this pin, then the first thing that you should be thinking about is just completing development with a move like knight h6 or even knight e7. So either of those moves, this bishop b3 or just developing the knight, would have been better than this rook e8 move, because now it gives Pokimane the opportunity to play rook c1, and this would pick up the bishop. You wouldn't actually be able to save this bishop, and white would all of a sudden be back in the game. So will we see rook c1 from Pokimane or something else? Yes, we will. She plays rook c1, and now you cannot move this bishop as black. You're going to lose this bishop. So what will Rubius do? He plays bishop b3, one move too late, unfortunately, and this now hangs the c7 pawn. In fact, white is actually totally winning here after rook takes c7, and if king to b8 Now we have rook back to c2, discovered check on the king, and this is also attacking the queen. So after the king moves, you can go ahead, and pick up this queen like this. So that is if the king moves to, that is if the king moves to b8. However, if the king moves to d8, we can still win here as white with queen c1, and now we're threatening rook c8 and queen c7 checkmate sort of threats. So you have to stop this as black. You can play bishop c4, but now this amazing tactic as white, we have rook takes c4, and if you take this rook with your pawn, then we have bishop takes c4. The queen only has one square, which is a4, and now bishop b5, and now this is just a discovered threat on this c7 square, which will be checkmate and also hitting the queen. Black cannot defend both threats, so the queen will be lost here. So this is how you can win as white after this bishop b3 move. Will Pokimane see this tactic and go for this? We start with rook takes c7 check, so she did not trade queens immediately. Definitely good. And which way will Rubius move the king? Once again, either way is losing, but one of them, this king d8 move, this is a much harder tactic to see. We have king b8, and now will Pokimane see that she has rook c2 check, picking up the queen? Yes, she does. We have rook c2 check on board, and here at first, Rubius actually tried to capture this rook, and then he realized that it was also check, and he played king a7. And Pokimane definitely picked up this queen. We have rook takes a2, bishop takes a2, queen takes a2, and now Pokimane is back in the driver's seat. She is winning this game. So will she convert this or blunder the game back to Rubius? We'll just have to see. We have e5 from Rubius, now hanging this d5 pawn. Will Pokimane take it? We have b5 instead, just trying to rip open Black's last shield here, which is totally fine too. b5, queen takes d5, either move is totally winning. We have rook e6, now defending this weak a6 pawn, and now Pokimane goes for this queen takes d5 move. We have rook b6, just trying to defend the king some more, and queen c5 from Pokimane, now pinning that rook. We have rook h7, just trying to get Rubius trying to get his last pieces into the game, and now b takes a6 and b takes a6. We have d takes e5, Pokimane definitely okay with trades, and knight e7. Not a lot you can do here as Rubius. We have e takes f6 and knight g6. We have queen f5 from Pokimane, and here Rubius plays rook h to b7. So maybe looking to check the king here on b1. However, this just hangs the knight, so I think knight f8, unpinning the knight, defending your rook, and also blocking this promotion square would have been a much better try here from Rubius. But we have rook h to b7, and Pokimane picks up this knight with queen takes g6. We have rook b1 check and king h2. Now rook c1 from Rubius and f7 Pokimane looking to promote that pawn, get a new queen. And now rook b to b1 from Rubius, and this sets up a crazy threat where now if Pokimane promotes this pawn to a queen, we would have checkmate in 1, rook h1, checkmate from Rubius, and this would be a crazy swindle from Rubius. So will Pokimane fall for this trick? No, she does not. She plays bishop f4, which does hang the bishop, but it gives your king some room. So I think Pokimane did see this rook h1 threat, and she was just trying to make some space for the king here with this bishop f4 move. We have rook h1 check anyway, but here there's not really a lot you can do as black. Really, this swindle rook h1 checkmate was your last hope, and white has stopped this. So here the most you can hope for is a stalemate as Rubius. We have king g3 and rook b8, now defending the f8 square, queen f6 and rook takes h4, f8 equals queen, and now g takes f4 check. This does hang the rook, but for some reason Pokimane does not take the rook, so maybe she was afraid of some stalemates, or maybe she just didn't see it, but she plays king f3 instead. We have rook h3 check now, once again hanging the rook, but Pokimane again did not take this, not exactly sure why. Once again, maybe she was just scared of stalemate, but instead we have king e4, and now rook takes e3 check, king takes f4, and rook e to e8, just ganging up on that queen. Here you can even take the rook, and after rook takes, you can do queen f7, and this forks the king and the rook. But instead we have queen 8 to f7 check from Pokimane. Rubius blocks with rook b7, but this hangs the rook on e8, which Pokimane takes with queen takes e8. We have h4 from Rubius, now just looking to sacrifice the rest of his pieces to hope for a stalemate. But we have queen f to e7 from Pokimane. She knows that she's up 2 queens. If she can just trade off this rook, she can just do the king and queen checkmate and be totally fine. She doesn't care that this is not a fair trade, which is how it should be. This is very technical and very good technical skills here from Pokimane. We have h3 from Rubius and queen takes b7 check. King takes b7 and g takes h3. We have now a5 from Rubius and queen e7 check. King b6 and queen d7. We have a4 and now queen takes a4, so Rubius can only hope for a stalemate at this point. So will Pokimane be able to do the king and queen checkmate without stalemating? That's the question now. We have king c5 and queen b3. King d4 and queen e3 check. King d5 and queen e4 check. So a little bit of maneuvering from Pokimane. Does she know the technique? We have king d6 and now queen f5, king c6 and queen e5. We do see this knight's distance away from the king and following the king technique. So it does look like Pokimane knows this technique. Now she just needs to bring the king to the corner. We have king d7 and queen f6, king e8 and queen g7, king d8, queen f7, just following this king all the way to the corner. King c8, queen e7, king b8, queen d7, king a8, and now not stalemating with queen c7. Instead, we have king e5, not even worrying about this bishop or these extra pawns. Pokimane is just going to bring the king in and do this clean checkmate. We have king b8 and king d5, king a8, king c5, king b8 and king b5, king a8 now and king b6, and king b8 and queen b7, which is a checkmate. So Pokimane takes the first game in a bit of a rating upset, but once again, both of these players very new to chess, so they can both learn fast. It really depends on just how much they've been training and practicing. So definitely an upset by Pokimane, but not too surprising overall. Will Rubius be able to take the match to an Armageddon in game 2? Who knows? We just have to see. So I don't think I have anything else to say about this game or this match. So check out my PogChamps 3 playlist. It's up there. Or check out the next game in this match on the left side of the screen. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Stay awesome, and I'll see you next time.